Hi there, my name is Pete Warnock from Naturally Ecstatic, and I'm here to share a little bit about my passion for teaching people how to use their breath and their mind and their awareness into how to drop into deeper and deeper levels of your ecstatic nature. Because we are all ecstatic beings, but our thinking and our feeling and the way in which we perceive ourselves often bogs us down and takes our awareness away from this ecstatic being that we truly are underneath. So we're going to look at all sorts of different breathing exercises and breathing patterns, and we're going to look at how we can change the way in which we perceive things to open up new doorways of perception for ourselves. So I came to this form of breath work many years ago. I've been exploring breath since the age of 5, and then 16 years ago I became a father, and I started laying with my son at night, watching him breathe and matching his breathing with my breathing. And I've always been fascinated with breath, and so watching how a pure, innocent baby breathes was absolutely fascinating to me, and this became the kind of cornerstone of my breathing exercises and my breathing technique. And so my breathing style that I practice myself and teach integrates basically the fullest breath that a human being can make with the least amount of effort and the most amount of relaxation and surrender. And I learned this from watching how my son breathed when he was a baby. And so we're going to start off with some lung stretches. So let's just find somewhere where we're comfortable. We're going to standing up, feet firmly planted on the floor, knees soft, hips soft. It's like you're sitting slightly into your hips. And we're just going to take a big breath in, and we're going to breathe through our mouth. Hold the breath, and then take a little bit more in, and then a little bit more in. So we're holding our breath so we're full, and then we're just going to wriggle our body whilst we're holding the breath. This is going to start to move everything that's stuck together. Often we have the fascia is stuck around our breathing apparatus and around our muscles and things, and so by doing this with full breath, it starts to move all of this. Let the breath go, and then we're taking a big breath in again, and a little more, and a little more. Holding the breath, we're pushing our tummy and diaphragm down, and then pulling the tummy in and up, down and out, in and up, down and out, in and up, down and out, and letting the breath go. So we've filled our lungs, we've stretched ourselves a little like this, then we've filled our breath again, and we've stretched by pushing the diaphragm down, pulling the diaphragm up. Now we're going to empty our breath, and we're going to do the same stretches, but because we have no breath in our lungs, it works to wring out the lungs and cleanse the lungs. So, and if you cough, then don't worry about that. You're just starting to clear stuff out. So we're taking a big breath in, and then we're breathing out all the way. And as we're breathing out all the way, we're going to lean forward. We're going to the last bit of the breath out. Holding the breath when we're empty. Standing up, keeping the breath held. We're just wriggling our body again. And then letting the breath come back in. And notice that it came in on its own. You didn't have to take a breath in. When you relax and open the throat, the breath naturally comes back in. We're going to take another breath in. We're going to relax and breathe out. And we're going to breathe out all the way, hands on hips, leaning forward. And then the last bit of breath out. Once we're empty, we stand up, holding the breath. We push our diaphragm and tummy down and out. Then pull it in and up as far as you can. Out and down, in and up, out and down, in and up. And then let go, let the breath come in. And again, the breath just rushes in. You don't have to breathe in. When we just relax the diaphragm and relax the throat, the breath rushes in. We're going to do one more set of stretches. So we're taking a full breath in, and a little more, and a little more. And whilst we're holding the breath, we're keeping our rib cage expanded. So we're keeping the rib cage expanded while we let the breath go. And then we're going to breathe in and out with the diaphragm through the mouth whilst keeping this rib cage expanded. And when you do this, when you're first new to this, you might get a little bit dizzy. So if that's the case, you can just sit down until the dizziness passes. That's fine, it won't last for long. We'll do that once more. Let's take a big breath in. A little more, and a little more. And then we're keeping the rib cage expanded whilst we're letting the breath go. And then we're breathing in and out. And then letting go. And then we're going to take a big breath in. This time we're keeping standing up. Emptying all the way. Once we're empty, we hold the throat, we pull our tummy in, and then we let go of our diaphragm and our throat. The breath comes in, and then we start to breathe with our upper cavity. But our tummy is still pulled in. And we're going to do that once more. So I'll explain it once again. We're going to take a big breath in. We're going to let the breath go. We're going to empty fully. And then we're pulling the tummy in, because when we're empty, the tummy is already pulled in. We're going to keep the tummy pulled in, and then we're going to release the diaphragm, and we're going to breathe with our upper chest and our diaphragm whilst keeping the tummy pulled in. And this starts to stretch and exercise a different set of breathing muscles. So let's take a big breath in. Out all the way. Then, letting go of the diaphragm and the throat, the breath comes in whilst we're still keeping the belly pulled in, and then we're breathing from up here and from our diaphragm. And let go. Relax, release. Take a couple of slow breaths. And then finding somewhere that you're going to be comfortable to sit. And we're going to have a little exploration of talking about some breath and then exploring some breath. So just letting yourself find somewhere comfortable to sit. So before we look into a breathing style and a breathing exercise, we're going to look at the difference between breathing through the nose and breathing through the mouth, and also breathing from the throat and breathing from the diaphragm. So we're going to look at the difference between breathing through the nose and breathing through the mouth. Now, when we breathe through the nose, the air comes up, comes through the sinuses, it cools the brain, and the breath then comes back down and into the lungs. Now, yogis and different kinds of practitioners have been using nose breathing forever, because it brings about a very focused and mentally aware state. It's very good for inducing trance state. But then there's mouth breathing. Now, there's controversy around whether nose breathing is better or mouth breathing is better, but actually they both do different things. They both do different things, and neither one of them are wrong or right. Breathing through the mouth brings the air directly into the body. It brings our awareness directly into our physical and emotional bodies. So breathing through the mouth gets you to access feelings, gets you to become much more physically embodied. So let's just see what that's like. Let's take a few breaths through your nose. Close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths through your nose. And you can either breathe out through your mouth or out through your nose, it doesn't matter. then just noticing, how do you feel in your body? How do you feel in your mind? What is alive in you? And then we're going to do the same but through the mouth. We're going to open the mouth, soft jaw, soft throat, really let the mouth hang open. And then just start to breathe in and out through the mouth. And then just noticing how you feel in your body. Just let your breathing come back to however it habitually comes back. And just notice how you feel in your body. And I'm not looking for a specific something. This is just about you noticing the difference. And you'll notice that I said to have your throat open and to have your mouth soft, your mouth open, your jaw soft. There is a difference between breathing through the mouth like this to they both change the physiology. They both change the chemicals being released in the body. When we tighten our jaw and we tighten our mouth and we suck the air in, we start to activate the sympathetic nervous system. We start to generate adrenaline in our body. And what we're doing is we're actually generating tension in our body. Now, when we soften our jaw, we soften our throat, we let the throat be a soft passageway for the breath to flow through, then the breath naturally comes down and is driven by the diaphragm. And then it becomes a much more energizing and relaxing breath. The body starts to relax more when we're breathing in this way. And there are more and more steps that we're going to start to explore to teach you the fullest, most effortless and the most relaxing breath that the human being can make. And this particular breath that I call the breath of surrender can be used for full power energizing of yourself, or completely softening and relaxing and turning on your parasympathetic nervous system. So the same breath, when just changed with the awareness and changed with the speed, can bring about completely different states. Now, this breathing that I discovered when watching my son was really, really powerful for me. It had quite an effect in my energy body as well as my physical body. I was really tuned in to him. And I first noticed this when I was giving my son Reiki. And I was tuning into his breathing and the energy was flowing, and I was just tuning into my own energy. And I noticed that there were 3 activations happening within his body as he was breathing. And I noticed that these activations were happening in me as I was breathing with him. And so I started to explore this in my own practice and discovered what I call the breath of surrender. And this really correlates with a lot of the Eastern philosophies and Taoist philosophies, where they say we have these 3 oceans of consciousness, oceans of dwelling inside of us, places that our awareness can sit and we experience different aspects of ourself. And when these are all in balance, and when we have our awareness spread equally in each 3, we are completely aligned and we're in touch with our physical body, with our spiritual nature, and with our consciousness, that is beyond body and mind. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to explore breathing into 3 places within our body. So the first thing we're going to do is putting the awareness in your abdomen, in your belly, and imagine that there's a balloon inside your abdomen, just behind your navel. And as you breathe in, you're filling this balloon. So just closing the eyes, putting the awareness inside the abdomen, just behind your belly button. And as you breathe in, this balloon in there is filling. And balloons, when you blow them up, they fill all the way around. So you're putting your awareness in front, back, sides, top and bottom of this balloon simultaneously and allowing this balloon to expand. As that's expanding, your belly is filling. Your diaphragm is coming down and your belly is filling. And then you let go when you're full. We're not taking the breath above the lower ribs. We're just breathing up to the solar plexus. It's like filling your pelvis right up to your solar plexus, and you're breathing simultaneously into front, back and sides, top and bottom. So this balloon inside is just filling. When it's full, you release. You let the breath fall out and you breathe in again and let it go. Breathing in, letting go. Breathing in, letting go. And as you're breathing, just continuing to breathe like this. As you're breathing, you're really feeling into your abdomen. You're really feeling into your low back, feeling into your pelvis, feeling the expansion in this area. And then as you let the breath fall out, you relax and use a little bit of effort to fill the belly. And then you relax. The breath falls out. And then you fill once again. And then bringing the awareness up into the heart space, into the chest. So we're going to fill our belly balloon. And then when the belly balloon is full, we're going to start to fill this balloon in the center of our chest. And again, you feel it front, back, sides, top and bottom, filling simultaneously. When the chest is full, you let the breath go. And then you return to fill belly, heart, release. Let the breath fall out, filling belly, heart, release. Filling belly, heart, and release. Filling belly, heart, and release. And just continuing to breathe like this for a few more breaths, in your own speed, in your own time. Filling the belly, then the heart, and then release. And you're not overexerting yourself. You're not using any tension in your breathing. You're just using a little bit of effort to fill, and then a complete surrender to empty. Filling the belly, then the heart, and then releasing. Let the breath go. One more breath. Belly, heart, and then release. And then putting the awareness inside the head. Now, the lungs don't come up inside the head, but the energy does. And where awareness flows, energy goes. So, putting the awareness in the center of your head, directly behind your brow, directly through the center of the head, imagine and feel for sensation in here, feeling in for sensation inside the center of your head. And then we're going to fill our belly balloon, our heart balloon, and then this head balloon. And then release, letting it all fall out. And then filling belly, heart, head balloon, release. Let the breath fall out. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. 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 And then just letting go. Letting go of this breath and just noticing how you feel in your body. Noticing how your breath reverts back to, or where your breath reverts back to. Does it come back through the nose? Are you breathing into your chest? Are you breathing into your belly? Is your breath going into your back? Or is it mainly in the front? Just noticing. So this is about gaining awareness and then making changes once we have the awareness. So let's just take a big breath in. Fill your belly, the heart and the head, and hold the breath for a minute. And relax whilst you're holding the breath. And then just let go. Let the breath fall out. Now when the breath falls out, the diaphragm has been stretched. So as we breathe in, the diaphragm stretches down. Then the diaphragm, which is like a sheet of rubber, really, it's a sheet of muscle, but it's like a sheet of rubber. It's like when you stretch a sheet of rubber and you're holding it and you let go, it pops back to its still point. It pops back to the place of least tension. And the diaphragm is the same. So as we take a big breath in, the diaphragm is stretched. And then when we let go and let the breath fall out, the diaphragm pops back to its central place. Within it being in its central place, the air pressure in the lungs is the same as the air pressure outside. I call this place in the diaphragm the still point. But we still have at least a third of your lungs full of breath. So then you can breathe out. Really empty your lungs. And what's happening is as you're emptying your lungs, your diaphragm is coming up into your rib cavity. It's stretching once again. And then when you release, the diaphragm pops back and breath flows into you without you taking a breath in. It's a passive movement. So when we're full, let's take a big breath in. And then just let the breath go. The diaphragm pops back to its still point. Then we breathe out all the way. The diaphragm comes up and it's in tension and we let go. The breath comes back to its still point as it draws air into the body. So we're going to explore using this release at the top of the breath and this release at the bottom of the breath. And it means that for nearly half of our breath, we can be in relaxation. Half of our breath can be passive. Now this is a huge change from a lot of what happens in our body. A lot of what we do when we're doing conscious breathing, we're driving our breathing all the time. We're doing our breathing. But actually, this is showing that we can surrender and release at the top of the breath, which a lot of breath workers teach, but often they miss this bottom piece where you empty fully and then release. The breath comes back in again. Then we follow the momentum of the breath coming back in with filling the belly, the heart, then the head. Then we're full and we release. And then we follow that release with some momentum, emptying the belly, the heart, and the head. Then we're empty and we release. We follow the momentum by filling the belly, the heart, the head. We release and then follow the momentum to empty the belly, the heart, and the head. And then we release, follow the momentum. And so we just keep this pattern going. We keep our throat open so the throat doesn't close at the top or the bottom of the breath. So there is an open passageway for the breath to just keep flowing through. Your throat is hardly involved with your breathing. And a lot of us actually suck our breath in with our throat. But in this breath, the throat is soft, the throat is relaxed. It is the diaphragm and the ribs that do the breathing. And they're always following the momentum of relaxation. So there's relaxation, and then there's some effort, and then there's some relaxation, and then there's some effort. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and then we're going to explore doing this breath a little bit together. So I'm just going to do it myself. So what I'm doing is I'm filling my belly, my heart, my head, and then I release the breath. The breath falls out. And then I empty my belly, my heart, and my head. And then I release my diaphragm. The breath comes in as I start to fill my belly, my heart, my head. When I'm full, I release. The breath falls out. And I follow that momentum with emptying my belly, my heart, my head. Then I release and I follow the momentum with some effort. So I'm going to talk you gently through this breathing exercise. I'm going to put some music on and we'll breathe in beats. We'll breathe to the beat to give you more of a sense of flow of the breath. Really welcoming your breath. No matter how your breath is coming in for the moment, just welcoming it. Breath is only one aspect. How we meet our breath, how we welcome our breath, is an entirely other subject, which is just as beneficial. If we just breathe, but we thought of negative things, we would be breathing in negative energies. Fuck's sake, I've done it. And filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, then release. Empty belly, heart, head. And just keep that breath going. Just keep that momentum going. And as you're breathing, you're following the momentum of the release with some effort. And you're welcoming the breath into your body. You're letting the breath fill your body. Breathing into the belly, the low back, the low sides, the pelvis. And then the front of the chest, back of the chest, sides of the chest. We're really filling the whole body and all the way up into the head. And then we release. Breath falls out. Let this surrender be soft and beautiful. Just following the breath with the music. Soften your throat, soften your jaw, letting the mouth hang open. so that the throat is an open passageway for the breath to flow through. It's the diaphragm and the chest that are doing the breathing. And belly, heart, head, and release. And belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. And just keep the breath going. As you breathe in, you're breathing in vitality, you're breathing in life, you're breathing in wonder. Let this be beautiful for you. Choose to let it be beautiful. It is your choice. And then letting go of the breath. Letting yourself come back to whatever breath your body wants to do on its own. Being fascinated with the quality of sensation that is in you. Sensation is life happening in your body. So finding how you can open yourself to receive this sensation more, to enjoy this sensation more. Welcome this in. Just being fascinated by being in sensation. Fascinated by your breath. Noticing where your breath is originating. Noticing where your breath is drawn to in your body. Notice the passageway of your breath as it comes in and out. And then filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Empty belly, heart, head, and release. Filling belly, heart, head, and release. Belly, heart, And letting the breath go again, letting go. Sitting in presence, noticing the sensation, noticing the breath. Just resting in awareness in your body. Savouring yourself, dropping into your energy. So this breath of surrender can be used in all sorts of situations. It can be used quickly and dynamically to really energize you. It can be used with exercise. It can be used with dance. It can be used in all sorts of ways to really up your energy and up your alertness. But also it can be done really softly, really gently. And so it really calms your body down. And there's actually something that happens when we release at the top of the breath and when we release at the bottom of the breath. It sends a wave of relaxation through our psoas muscle, which is our fight or flight muscle. And the psoas muscle sits on the front of the spine, all the way up through to about here. And the diaphragm, when it comes down, when we breathe in, it squashes the top of the psoas muscle. And then when we relax, it puts this wave of relaxation through the psoas muscle. This tells your body that you're safe enough to relax. And within this relaxation happening, this tells your DNA that you're safe. This has a huge effect in your ability to relax and to unwind and to actually start to heal your body. And we're going to finish this session with one more breath, which really helps with dropping us out of the sympathetic nervous system and really turning on the parasympathetic nervous system. It is the most simple breath. We take a big breath in, and then we close our mouth, and we just open a tiny little hole in between our lips, the finest hole you can imagine, like the eye of a needle. And we let go of our diaphragm and we let go of our throat, and the air pressure in the lungs starts to force the breath out of this tiny little hole. So it looks like this. And because the hole is so small, the air escapes really slowly. Imagine there was a candle in front of you. You don't want to blow the candle out at all. You want the hole to be so small that it hardly lets any air out at all. And so doing this breath for several breaths turns off the sympathetic nervous system and turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. Just 5 or 6 breaths. So let's try it now. Let's take a big breath in. Close the mouth. Tiny little hole. Relax the throat and the diaphragm. So you're not pushing the air out. The air is pushing itself out because of the pressure in the lungs. And then when you reach a point where the diaphragm is at still point, you can then blow the last of the air out very slowly and gently. And when you run out of air, you take a breath in. And you do the same. You just let go of the diaphragm in the throat and let the air pressure push the air out of your lungs through this tiny little hole in your mouth. and then you push the last of the breath out. And we're going to do that for a few more breaths. So just closing the eyes, taking a breath in, closing the mouth, releasing the diaphragm and the throat, and letting the air escape through this tiny little hole between the lips. The only tension in the body is a tiny little bit of tension in the lips. The rest of the body is completely relaxed. And then you can use a little bit of effort to breathe the last of the breath out. And then another breath in, closing the lips, releasing the throat and the diaphragm, and letting the air escape through this tiny hole. Breathing in your own time, taking the breath whenever you need to take the breath, and again letting the breath escape through this tiny hole. As the breath is escaping, you're tuning into a sense of expansiveness in the body. You're relaxing throughout your body. And then letting this breath go and just resting in awareness in your body. Just noticing. Noticing sensation, which is life. Notice whether your mind is active or still. And take a big breath, have a big stretch, maybe a yawn. And if you're into intermittent hypoxic training, whether it be Wim Hof or whether it be Soma or all of the other varieties, you can actually use the breath of surrender to be the breathing part of your hypoxic training. You can do 30 breaths, 40 breaths of breath of surrender, and then do your holds. And this has an amazing effect. I've explored most breathing systems around, and when I do it with the breath of surrender, I have incredible experiences. So have a play with it and see what works for you. This is all about trying this and see what works and take the pieces that work for you. This is what life is about. And if you want to do more, you can find me at naturallyecstatic.com. My name is Pete Warnock, and I've been teaching breathwork for nearly 30 years. And my passion is in sharing with people how they can use their breath, their mind, and their energy to set themselves free.